everyone, this is Lori from the Crafting Auntie. Welcome back to my channel. I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers and those that have been with me. I'm so glad you're here. So today I'm going to do a little simpler project. I want to make a autumn tag, and I've picked out some papers from my stash, both of which the patterns I believe are from my porch prints. And then just some chipboard. I have a piece of Sari Silk that I had purchased from Etsy, and I'll link that shop. I believe it's called Felt Better. And so I have created a ruffle out of this. So typically the Sari Silk comes and it's in a strip. So what I did is, and it's usually folded. So I just pressed it out with my mini iron that I have here, which is my little craft iron. And I just pressed it flat, and then I just ran a basting stitch across it and gathered it myself. So I want to use this on here. I have this image, which is from my porch prints. This is a tall, skinny autumn kit that came out last year. I want to use her. I think she's gorgeous. I have a few embellishments left over from last year, and these are also from my porch prints, so I'm going to be using these. Word autumn. This is going to be the background, and I'm going to use some of this tea dye paper. I'm not sure how I'm using it yet, but I think what I want is to have kind of a torn window like she's peeking through. So that's kind of my plan. On this butterfly, and possibly on these leaves in here, I want to add some UV resin. So I have a kit which is UV resin, and I have my little resin light. This kit came with like a flashlight, and I just recently got this one so I can set it off to the side and do the resin, and I can continue doing a project. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I want to cut her out. So this is going to be the base of my tag. And I think I'm just going to follow along here and cut her out. So let me just go ahead and do that. So I hope you guys are doing well. It's been really hot here. Very hot. Let's see. Do I want this? I think I want this part here to come down. So I've been doing a lot of crafting and trying to create and come up with some new projects for coming out on my YouTube channel coming up. And I'm so excited. It's September. Even though it's still hot, we're supposed to have some really hot days coming up for a few days. And then hopefully we'll be cooling down. But yeah, so I spent a lot of time in my crafty space and just enjoy creating and prepping for upcoming autumn projects. So I did one last that came out on Monday, and now I've got this one and then more to come. So hopefully you'll join in and tune in and check out what's coming up. I'm going to, I think, leave it at this. Let's see. Okay, so I think I'm just going to trim this leaf. We'll just come along like this. So now we have this. So my plan is to have her kind of peeking out behind some torn paper. Okay, so she is all cut out. I'm going to use Vintage Photo and go ahead and distress her. I had to put a new pad on this. I've been doing so much distressing that, yeah, my pad was starting to fall apart, and it was leaving little granule pieces all over my table and in my project. So I thought it was time to make a change. I like these domed pads. They seem to work really well. So let's just give her some ink to kind of define her a little bit. Such beautiful fall colors. And I love the season. Autumn or fall, whatever you call it. I just absolutely love. She is so pretty. Isn't she pretty? All right. So I'm going to go ahead, and while I work on the rest of this, I want to add some resin. So let me just move a couple of these things aside and bring over as much as I can. Let me see if I turn it like this. I think I can bring it closer so you can see. So I think what I want to do is I want to do the butterfly. So I'm going to go ahead and put resin all over the whole thing. Now you could just do various parts of the butterfly or just around the edges, but I want this butterfly to kind of pop. So I'm just going to carefully go around the whole thing, and I'm just squeezing this to fill it in. Use as much as you need to, because you want it to be completely covered. This is a self-leveling resin, which is nice because as you work it and add more to it, it will fill in the gaps and it will become very smooth on top. But you need to make sure that there's no bubbles or little indents. So I kind of go around everything and then I go back around it and just squeeze it as you're doing it. There's lots of kits out there on Amazon. Again, this one came with a flashlight, and it was such a pain because you had to sit there and hold the light. And depending on how much resin you used and how thick it was depending on how much time it would take. So I wanted one of these lights that I didn't have to sit there and hold everything. So my birthday was just recently, and I always give a list because Honey always asks, okay, what do you want for your birthday? Well, okay, I have a whole list in Amazon. He bought the whole list. This is hard. So this light has been a lifesaver. It does a 60-second, a 90-second, and it also does 150-second. And for something like this that's pretty solid, I'll use the 150-second and just let it do its thing. So just make sure you've got enough on here so that you don't have any holes or bubbles. And just smooth it out as best you can. You can kind of look at it on an angle and see where maybe there's like a little dip or you don't have enough of the resin in there. So that looks pretty good. We've got a little bubble right here. Okay, I'm going to just slide this under my light and turn it on. So I'm going to do this one for 150 seconds. While that's doing it, I think what I want to do is add the resin to this big leaf here. And I think that will help make her pop even more. So I'm just going to go around this leaf. You don't have to do this. And you can also, if you don't have resin, that's totally fine. You can use embossing powder if you wanted to, and use a clear and do the same thing that I'm doing here. What I like about the resin is the shininess. Sometimes you have to use the embossing powder twice to get the overall coverage that you want. And with this, you really don't have to. You just put it on here, smooth it out, and then put it under the light. And then I don't have to use the heat gun. I still get the same effect, if not even, I think, better. So I do like having this resin kit. I saw this kit first on Junk Journal Attic. Mariah was using it. And so, oh gosh, well over a year ago. I bought the kits. I'm still using the first bottles. Came with 2 bottles and I'm still on the first bottle. Okay. Just want to make sure I got full coverage and everything. I think that will help make her pop. Okay. And you can see how it darkens it. So you can kind of see the shine in the camera there. So we'll put this one under the light as soon as the butterfly is done. So we've got that. And then next what we'll do is we will cover our tag. Okay, the butterfly is done and we're curing the fall leaf. So you can see all the shimmer. And it's completely cured. So I'm just going to set this aside and I'm just going to slide this over while it finishes. And we'll continue on our project. So my tag that I have here is about 4 3/8 by 8. And I wanted it large enough that I could put this girl on it and do some other embellishing on it. So this is the paper that I want to cover it with. It's just about the right height too. So all I'm going to do is add glue this down and then trim it off. I'm going to wait to trim the corners until I have everything on here. So we're just going to add glue to our chipboard, and this is like a medium chipboard. It's not too heavy, but it's also not too light. This could be used on the front of a journal because it is going to have some dimension to it. You could also tuck it inside a pocket, but I would leave off some of the dimensional stuff that I'll be doing on this one if you wanted to do that. But this would make a great cover for a autumn journal. Clean off my glue there. And then let's just make sure we've got this the right side. And then I'm just going to put it down. If there happens to be a little bit of the chipboard hanging over, we'll just trim it down. But it looks like it's pretty good. So got that on. I'm going to cut this, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the tea dye paper for the back, because then if you're a journaler and you don't want to put this onto the front of a cover, you could actually journal on the back of this. And you can make this smaller, so it doesn't have to be this big of a size. If you needed something smaller to go inside your journal, you could still do the same thing, but just use a smaller size. And I'm just going to trim just tiny bits here and there. It's pretty close to being the right size. A little sticky there. Okay, so there's our front. I'm going to go ahead and do the back, and we'll do the same thing. I'm going to add this tea dye paper, and here's the other piece that has been cured, and just let it sit for a little bit. It's going to wrinkle a tiny bit just because it's a thinner paper, but then once it's cured you can flatten it back out, but that kind of really makes her pop as well. So we've got that piece. So let's go ahead and do the back. You can also use glue stick. I'm not a fan of glue stick, but you can, and use whatever glue you have. This is art glitter glue. Typically, if you watch me, you know I use art glitter glue or I use Fabri-Tac, but not very rarely will I use a glue stick. Let's see, this should be the right height. So let's go ahead and put this down. Take it right to the edge. Try to line that up. Okay. And we'll do the same thing. I'm just going to trim it. This tea dye paper I get off of Etsy as well. I will do a little bit of coffee dyeing. I don't do too much. A lot of times my sister does it for me. She doesn't mind coffee dyeing. She's on Nana's Crafting Cottage. It's kind of messy, but I will do small things. But I do love the tea dye paper that I get off of Etsy. Okay, so now we got that done. Let me just trim the bottom of this just a tad. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the angles. And I'm just going to use this angle punch. This is from We Are Memory Keepers. It's just a simple punch. If I want something larger, then I will just cut it myself and then turn it over and cut the other side. But since I just want to do about like this, this will work. Okay, so my thought is she is going to go on here, and then I want some torn paper. So before I do that though, let's grunge this up. It definitely needs some grunging. So I'm going to go kind of heavy around the borders, and I'll do that front and back. Now this is just a regular ink, distress ink. It is not the oxide, but if you did the oxide, you could also splatter some water around these edges and get the oxide effect. I think I like this ink better for this type of grunging because it is darker, where the oxide is a lot lighter. I love them both, and I like using them both. Well, I'm just going to add a little bit in here, just to give it a little bit more of a grungy look, so it's not so white. Okay, so we've got that. So let's go ahead and figure this out. Okay, so I want her on here, and then I think what I want to use is some of this, and I want to tear an edge. So I'm just going to kind of tear just haphazardly. And then let's just see. I want her kind of peeking through, kind of like this. So let me just grab my pencil and we'll make a little mark. And then I'll cut that. And then we're going to grunge it up, of course. So let's go ahead and cut this down. I really like using the torn edge look. I just recently did a project with that as well, and I like that. It just really gives it a vintagey, grungy kind of look. So again, I'm going to ink this up really well, especially on this torn edge part. I'm just gonna give it a good grunging. I like the way it looks because it kind of looks like burnt paper. It's kind of hard to see in the camera, but the more you go over it, the more burnt it looks. And that way you don't have to burn the paper or have any issue with using a lighter and paper in your room. This does the trick. The only thing that I will use a little candle in my room is if I'm using some of the ink, some of the wax to to make a wax seal. Okay, height-wise, we're going to have to tear. So I'm going to tear. I don't want this to be a straight edge here either. And let's see here. I'm going to tear a little bit off of here as well. And then ink. Ink it all up. And if you don't like this look, then, you know, by all means, do a different way. There's lots of different ideas and ways you can make tags. So this is just one that I thought about, and I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. Definitely want to give it a try. And I think I'll just kind of go over this just slightly, just to give it a little bit more of a grunge on the paper so it's not so light. All right, let's see here now. She is going to go here, and then this is going to come over. Perfect. All right, let's glue it down. I think she's okay. All right, so let's glue her down first. You can see the back of the resin. So there was quite a bit on there, and it will lay flat again once you add the glue and get it put secure in place. Now the butterfly, I want to pop it up, so I'm not worried too much about that one. And if you don't like the buckle here, then use the embossing powder. I just like the look of this resin. So I've been trying to use quite a bit of it too, because, you know, I have it. I've had it for a while, and I think the one bottle is probably getting to a point where I'm going to need to get rid of it and use a new bottle, but trying to use it as much as I can. I hate wasting. I don't know if you're like me, but I don't like wasting a lot. All right, I'm just going to put right underneath where that tag shape is there and run it right down the whole side. And then I'm going to press this really good here because this is where the resin is. Now the good thing about our glitter glue is that it grabs pretty quickly. So it's actually doing quite well. So now it's pretty well down. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more glue in this area to get the edge good. And let me just hold it for a little bit. That's so far coming together. She is so pretty. All right, now let's go ahead and let's get this one on. And I think I need to tear this just a little bit more to go over the tag shape. So let me just re-ink that. And then let's go ahead and get this piece down. Then we'll be on to decorating. I just ordered some more art glitter glue because it's not been acting right, and it doesn't act right when it gets old. So I've been working off of a bigger bottle refill and realized with this temperature that we've had, even though it's cool in the house with the air conditioning, the glue just isn't working as it should. So I bought another smaller bottle. So hopefully when that arrives, I will be set. Okay, so here we go. She's peeking through. I love that. Wow. Yes. All right. So now let's do some decoration on top. So I have some decorations that I had showed you that were just in my stash. These are from last year. I'm kind of thinking this right here. Maybe I think I might trim this part off right here. And then let's just, I think I used a walnut stain or a scorched timber on this, but I'm going to go around it also with Vintage Photo. Because I think I had inked this up thinking I was going to use it on another project, and then I didn't. So we'll use it on this project, hopefully. Hopefully we can make this work. I don't want it covering her face, so I'm thinking about like that. And then I've got this, so I think under here, I think I want autumn up here, but then I have this ruffle. And I really wanted this to kind of come around her hair and face and then off to the left side. So I think what I'm going to do is work on that first. So I have tied off the ends on this, and I really want this to come around her hair, kind of like this. So let me get some Fabri-Tac and see if we can't get this put in place. So I think what I'll do is, let's see, which way do I want this? Do I want this with the, I think I want it going this way. Okay, so let's add some glue coming around her, down and coming down and off of the edge of the tag. And I want it this way. So I'm just going to lay it down and hold it in place and let this catch. Just kind of untwist. It's really twisty. So the Sari Silk, even when you have made it into a ruffle, so you kind of have to work with it a little bit. And just get it the way you want it. And then just kind of press it down. We may add a few little leaves or something up here just to kind of give it something else to hide some of that glue that might have seeped out. And I'm just going to cut the end off. And then I am going to add just a little bit more glue here just to make sure it doesn't come apart. So we'll hold that down. So there is that. A little bit more here. All right. Okay, so we've got that. I love that. I have some of these leaves from last year, little tiny ones. So we might have to add some of this. Let's just see what this might look. Yeah, I think so. Let's add it. Gonna go all out autumn. I think just kind of coming over to her hair a little bit. Let's see what other ones we have here. Let me just get a bunch of these out so we can see the sizes. So let's do one here. These are kind of crunchy, so you kind of have to be careful with them because they can break easily. So let's put that one there. They come in the different colors. Do we want to add green? I think we do. I think that would really stand out. So let's add this one as well. Let's see, do we want it this way? I think so. Let's do it like this. Okay, so we've got that. right. So now we've got this and this. Let's do some more vintage photo on this. I think it's coming together. And let's go ahead and do this. Perfect. Oh, we may have to readjust where we put this because I didn't think I was going to be adding leaves, and then I did. And then we have our butterfly, which I want to pop up. So do we, let's just kind of lay this out and see. And then maybe maybe we put this up here and this. I don't want it to cover her face. All right, let's go with this. So I think what I'm going to do is put this one down flat, and then we're going to pop this up. And this one we're going to put down flat. So let's go ahead and add these. And we'll decide whether we're going to put autumn on here or not. Like that. Push down these leaves a little bit more. And then we'll put this one down. All right. Let's get this one down. All right, about there. Yeah, that way she peeks through. Well, we might do something like this. That might work. I'm going to grab some puff tape and put some of that on. Okay, so let's pop this up. So let me put a piece on here. Let's see, let me use these other scissors so I don't get my scissors all sticky. And then I think I'm just going to put, let's see, let's put, is this too big? I think it's too big. Let's put that here. All right, let's play with these now. So if I did this, I could do that. Maybe up like that. Yep, I like that. This is pretty sticky tape, but because it can dry out, I'm going to go ahead and add just some extra glue to this, just to make sure it stays on good. And we'll put it right about there. Sorry if I'm leaning in too far. And then let's take this one off. And we'll pop the butterfly up here. Now I'm not going to add anything to the top of this because this could be a journal topper, or it could be something that goes into a journal, although it's very dimensional. So I would say a journal topper. So I don't want to put anything up here yet because I wouldn't know as of this moment what I would be doing with it. But one thing I do want to do, we've got this empty spot here, right in here, and I want to add some gold splatters. So I have my watercolor in various gold. So I'm going to cover up her face, and then I'm going to do some splattering. Let's just cover up her face. And then I have some water here. Get my brush wet and dip it into the gold. Get that going good. I like this darker color. This is really actually really good gold. I found this on Amazon, and it is this Starry Colors. So there's various different colors, but I like it because if you can see, it's kind of thickening up. So the more you rub it, the more the gold comes off and gives you a nice paint to splatter. Let's just use some scissors here. And just add a little bit more water. Do as little or as much as you want. I do like the effect of it. Okay, I think that's good. Now we can take this off of her face. And now we have this. This is watercolor, so it will dry rather quickly. But I'll go ahead and just hit it a little bit from a distance with my heat gun. Just to help it along. You just got to be careful with it because you don't want to get too close to everything. Okay. That is actually pretty good. It is almost completely dry. So there's our tag for the day. I hope you guys like this. I just love how she's peeking through with everything. It's kind of like she's an autumn fairy or something, and she's peeking through all the autumn leaves. Okay, so this is my project for today. I hope you guys give it a try. It's a lot of fun just coming up with things with autumn. Use your stash. This is all from my stash mostly from last year, and trying to use up the stuff. All right, so my next video will be out coming up on Monday, and we'll see what kind of project we come up with then. You guys all have a great day. God bless you all, and we'll see you next video. Bye.